Hi, I'm Jakob Engblom, Senior Technical Marketing Manager at Wind River, and in this short video I will show you how you start a simulation session in Wind River Simics. When we start, we see the Simics Eclipse GUI up on the screen, and in order to start a new session we use the New Session button we have either in the Simics control view or up in the Eclipse toolbar. When we click that, we get a dialog where we can select the different ways to start Simics. We could start by opening a checkpoint of a previously saved session. We could run some arbitrary script we find in our workspace, or we could bring up a particular target system in a particular configuration. And in this case I'm going to bring up an Intel-based x58 machine, and we're going to bring it up with Wind River Linux 5. But as you can see, there are plenty of other configurations I could use as well. As we press OK, the simulation starts, and we get a serial console and a graphics console. We can see in the target information view that indeed we brought up an x58 system running Linux. And as we start the simulation, we can see how it very quickly on the script control went through the grub bootloader and started booting Linux. And actually the script was nice enough to kind of point this out to us that, hey, I selected a serial console boot from the grub bootloader. And there it is. It's up and running. And if we log in, when we're logged in, we can do something like, look at the progress on target system. We can see what it actually thinks it is. And I mean, it basically behaves like a live Linux system. So that's it. I mean, didn't take that long to actually get it up and running, and we're in. So we can pause the simulation, we can run it again, and we can pause it again. In the next step, we're going to start simulation from a checkpoint instead. And to do this, we bring up the Simics Checkpoint Explorer. As you can see, Simics checkpoints often have dependencies on other checkpoints, and in this case I'm actually going to bring up this one. And you can see there's a mouse over here showing me a comment I put in when I saved the checkpoint. So let's open it. And this checkpoint actually contains more than one machine. It actually contains 4 machines, as we can see up here. 2 of them ARM based, 2 of them PPC based, 1 running VxWorks, and 3 of them running Linux. And each one of them has a serial port, which came up here. And if we start the simulation, you can tell that this thing is networked, so let's prove that it is. So I'm gonna be pinging off of the client A machine, which has IP 10.10.022, to the client P machine, which has IP 10.10.033. And if we do that, pretty much as expected, we get, a nice ping behavior. Let's stop that, and then we pause the simulation as well. And notice that we actually have multiple sessions running at once, all under control from a Simics GUI. And as we move between it, we can look at each simulation in separation. We can also look at the software running on the target systems. So in this case, we have a Linux, we have a bunch of kernel threads, actually quite a few kernel threads, and we have user space, which is a bit more sparse. But Simics is not just a GUI-driven tool. Quite a few people actually like to work from the command line, and obviously we cater to those as well. So in this case I'm going to show you how to start the same x58 simulation as I started out with from Eclipse, but doing this from the Simics command line. I'm on Windows, so I'm going to use the CMD prompt. On Linux it would look very similar, except for the fact that the slashes in the paths would be the other way. And I just select a command like this, Simics bat, please don't give me a GUI, and select a target script. And I do this, and just like before, we get the graphics console and the serial port coming up. And if I try to boot this, it's going to behave just like it did out of Eclipse, except for the fact that I have to use commands to drive it instead of clicking buttons in the GUI. And you can see it come up, and it starts booting.